Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody rise up. Weekdays, catch us live. Somebody, let's go.
Good morning. Good afternoon and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in good spirits, as always. Hopefully this show finds you in great spirits. Hopefully you guys had a good weekend. I know some of us had the I don't know, the privilege, I guess, the ability, I guess, to have a longer weekend than others. All right. But for those of y'all who did have a longer weekend or a weekend to begin with, I hope it was a good one. I hope it was a positive one for you guys. Because let's be real. These weekends feel like they're getting shorter and shorter, y'all. I'm not going to lie. You know what I mean? I am not going to lie. Okay. Trishelle said, I've been waiting on a video from you, sir. Yeah, it's been a busy weekend. Okay, it's been a very busy weekend. And then there's been a lot of things that have been popping off that I've been wanting to talk to you guys about. But then things were popping off over this weekend that kept me away from this purple-ish room. Okay, let's keep it a buck. And yes, there's a lot of other stories that are going on, other tragedies that are going on around the world as we speak. And trust me when I say I'm going to try my best to cover as much as I can here, okay, over the next couple days. And then, of course, I got a couple questions for you guys. There's been discussions through the internets and all that, through group chats and all that online. And I want to get you guys' personal opinion on two separate situations. So I will be talking to you guys about that very, very soon. But yeah. Anyway, it's been one hell of a weekend. It's been a little bit, it's been a little crazy, but I'm happy to be here to chop it up with every single last one of y'all about this information. So before we get into everything, do me a favor, hit that like button down below, please and thank you. All right. Crush it, crush it, crush it, crush it. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure you hit that reaction button down below. That would be greatly appreciated. I see you guys starting to file in on Facebook. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to every single last one of y'all. And of course, do not forget to crush that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure you hit that follow button over there as well. Hit my own microphone for crying out loud. Yeah, be sure to do that. That'd be greatly appreciated. It'd be great to have you a part of the Pascal Show family. Okay? So let's get into some things, guys. We got some things to talk about here. As you already know, we've been covering this Idaho 4 tragedy like crazy. And there's been some things that have happened over the past couple days. I mean, today is what? The 10th? So for like the past 3 days, there's been some things that have been popping off on revolving around this particular case. And there's a series, and we've talked about this series. Actually, we've used some of the articles, or we have referenced one of the articles in this series on the show in the past. And it's a 6-part series so far. I don't know if there's going to be any more after this information that's recently come out. All right. But it's a 6-parter in this series. And we have discussed and talked about a few things. We've had our fair share of look-see-loos into these articles and whatnot. And actually, I'm going to show it to you guys here real quick. Hold on. I just want to make sure I know where I'm at. But I'll just show you the tippity top of this article. Okay. So 1 second. And I appreciate everybody being here. It really does mean a lot. It really does. I missed you guys again. Hopefully you guys had a amazing, productive, and in some cases profitable weekend. But this is the series, okay? The Eyes of a Killer. And this is part 6. Like I said, it's a 6-parter, okay? Now, I've said this before. I'll say it again. We have referenced some of this in the past. Not the whole thing, but a little bit. Just a few pieces here, there, nothing too crazy, but enough for us to be like, okay, this is some very interesting stuff. Enough for it to gain headlines, not only on this platform, but on many other content creators' platforms and all that as well. Now, I'm going to tell you this. As soon as this came out, I skimmed through it. I looked through the whole thing, and I had quite a bit of pause. This gave me great. There's other pieces in here, like there's other articles in this series that I was like, all right, whoa, that's very interesting information. But all the stuff that's being said in this one here, and seeing all the content creators putting out their headlines and talking about it and all that, I was like, something doesn't feel right with this one. Something just doesn't feel right with this one, y'all. I mean, I know, we have discussed so many crazy things on this, on covering this subject and, on this platform a million times before, but there's something about this one that just felt a little bit odd. So I said, you know what? Maybe there's a reason why every single time I come in here and I'm about to work, something happens. Now, let me explain this to you guys really quick before we get into everything here. Okay? But there was a few things that happened this weekend and yesterday even, that pulled me away from this. Family events, certain things that just randomly popped up out of nowhere, so on and so forth. But yesterday, I'm not kidding you guys. Yesterday, I'm getting ready. Okay, I'm setting everything up, getting all my stuff ready to go. I'm going, okay, time to make the donuts, time to tell my stories, time to have these conversations with y'all, right? And then all of a sudden I hear beep, 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 like this truck backing up, right, in my neighborhood. And I'm like, okay, I'm thinking, well, it's not trash day. That doesn't make any sense. And for a lot of places, it's a government holiday, right? For a lot of places. Although, did some of your kids have school yesterday? Because I had family members that had kids going to school yesterday, which was a really big surprise. But comment, let me know. Did your kids have school? If you live in America, let me just say that. If you live in America, did your kids have school? Let me know. Yesterday. So, because the DMV, everything was shut down. So, kind of interesting, right? So I'm sitting there, I'm going, cool, we're gonna get down to the nitty gritty. We're gonna get down to brass tacks, talk about this article, so on and so forth. And then all of a sudden, everything, internet completely out. Cable internet provider dudes are out climbing telephone poles, messing with ish, didn't bother to give anybody any heads up. So I was out of internet all of yesterday, right? So I'm like, all right, fine. Let's take this time to spend time with my beautiful baby and my family and have just a day of leisure, which is exactly what I did. But I had this whole thing, like I showed you guys just a second ago, I had this whole thing set up, ready to go, to talk. And I'm like, everything was pushing me away from telling this story, from covering this article. Everything. Family things, so on and so last minute stuff. Then the internet goes out. I'm not kidding you. So I said, I'm going to take that time to just do not a dumb thing and spend some time with my family. Cool. So then I wake up this morning and I said, you know what? Everything, doggone it, happens for a reason. Because as much as I wanted to tell you guys this story, I'm going, something is not right. People keep throwing me back, pushing me back. Something keeps holding me back. You know what I mean? And I'm wondering what the heck's going on. And then I wake up this morning and I see this. So the Goncalves family is now saying that this article that I was just showing you guys just a second ago, which I'll bring it back up, they're saying that Howard Bloom, or Blum, however you say his last name, be lying. That he's creating falsehoods in this whole series that he's been writing. In fact, from what we're gathering, the Goncalves family is saying, at least Steve Goncalves is saying, I ain't talked to the dude. He's been asking for quotes. He's been asking for statements and all that stuff. And we have not been granting anything from this dude. Don't worry, we're going to come back to this article. Oh, we're going to come back to this article indeed. But I wanted to preface this whole article with this main piece, because as much as everybody's sitting here arguing, talking about it, debating, conspirizing, okay, theorizing, hypothesizing, conspirizing, the family is sitting here saying that this man is creating and spreading falsehoods in this whole case. I mean, there's things about a leak with like a what was it, a rat or something like that, an informant within the grand jury. I mean, this stuff is wild. The things that he's saying in this thing is wild. Now, is it for clicks, or is he actually telling the truth? Don't worry, I'm going to ask that question again in a second. Let's get into this article, shall we? Let's get into the statement first. And then I'm not going through the whole doggone article. There's plenty of other people who have gone through it cover to cover. I'm just going to go through chunks of it, and we're going to talk about it. Just giving you a fair warning about the 6-part series article thing, or at least part 6. I'm not going through the whole 6 series. Are you kidding me? We'd be here for 5 hours. Nah. But I am going to be going through chunks of it because I do think it's very interesting. Okay. And I'm going to ask you that question I just said again in a little bit. Let's get into this article. Okay, so it says, investigative reporter accused of spreading falsehoods in University of Idaho murder series. So let's see what they have to say here. And let me just blow this up so you guys can see this in the nosebleed seats, because I know y'all are watching in the nosebleed seats. And please, for those of y'all who are watching in the nosebleed seats and in front row seats too, please be sure to hit that like button down below, please and thank you. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on the Face of Books, okay, or the Book of the Faces. And of course, do not forget to hit that subscribe button, please and thank you. You know your boy's working hard out here in these streets. Hit that follow button on Facebook as well. If you want to support the channel, and I gotta blow my face up so you can see the concern and sincerity in my face. If you want to support this channel, you can simply hit that join button down below. If you're watching on YouTube, all you got to do is just hit that join button down below. It's less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks. Think about it. Consider it and join today. Moving on, let's get into this article. So, the father of Kaylee Goncalves, one of the 4 University Idaho students that lost their life last September, accused an investigative journalist of spreading falsehoods in a series of TV appearances. In a digital publication series, The Eyes of a Killer, Howard Bloom reports on the Moscow M's. He claims that Steve Goncalves was conducting his own investigation into the M's in conjunction with the official investigation conducted by law enforcement. Shannon Gray, the attorney for the Goncalves family, said. He went on to say that Bloom accuses Goncalves of taking liberties with the case, potentially jeopardizing BK's case. In a statement from the Goncalves family lawyer, Steve Goncalves denounced much of what Bloom states in his publications, saying Bloom is profiting from his dead daughter and his family's grief. Now, I want to make sure that you guys can hear this, and I'm going to say this as clear and clean as possible, okay? I just want to make it very clear to the public that we have not spoken to Mr. Bloom about the demise of our daughter. This is nothing more than grandstanding and a very, very poor attempt at getting attention. This piece is obviously fictional, but written in poor taste. The Goncalves family would ask that everyone please respect the victims of this tragedy and continue to support trustworthy journalism. Skadoosh. And this is what Goncalves said in a statement to Nonstop Local. This is the article I'm reading right now. Bloom has contacted the Goncalves family for an interview, which they say they have declined multiple times. They have declined multiple times. All right? Multiple. Okay, and then, of course, there's going to be a hearing for BK, Coco, Brian, Nothing Burger, and that is set for October 26th. So that's right around the corner, where the court will discuss Koberg's motion to dismiss his murder indictment, based on a biased grand jury. Now, you heard all that. Now we're gonna break this down a little bit. Okay, first off, they went in. Okay, they went in on this dude's writing. First off, let's be real. It's written in poor taste. This is fabricated, fake journalism, or as some people like to say, fake news. All right. And the one thing that he does say in here is that this is, where was it? Where was it? That Bloom is basically profiting from his daughter's demise and his family's grief. Okay? So, pretty crazy stuff. I mean, to say the least. I mean, it's pretty crazy stuff and it's quite a statement to put out here, to sit here and denounce the article, denounce the information that has been going on in this series for a while. Because let's be real, it's been 6, and it's been going on, or it's a series of 6 articles, and these articles have been going on. I mean, for as far back as when the tragedy happened, when media started to swarm all around this, including all of us, became increasingly obsessed with this case, so on and so forth. We started to give a damn. This guy started coming out with these articles. Now, I'm asking you this question, and I'm going to restructure it in a way. Is this the Goncalves family trying to save face in this situation? Or is this Bloom character really profiting off of fabricating things that may not be true for the sake of some clicks, some views? And also, I will say this too, this mother lover got a book coming too. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget that. Okay? He got a book coming out revolving around this very case. So of course, these are breadcrumbs. These are little appetizers. This is a mouche bouche, okay? To entice the reader, whoever's consuming these words with their eyeballs, to go, wait, he got a book coming out. Word, I want the book now. Imagine the things he's saying in these articles, which I'll show you guys again. The things that he's showing in this article here, man, if that's just a taste of what's to come, damn. Now, I want to point this out too, though. This is a reporter. This is a journalist doing his investigative work. Like I just said in that question, are there things that he unearthed that maybe families don't want to be known out here in these streets? Because I'll be honest, if I was any member of the Goncalves family, I would be all up in that investigation. They would know me by my first, last, middle, and my nickname. Trust and believe. Okay? They would know exactly. They would know from my scent from 5 miles away. Oh, he's coming. Pascal's coming. Damn it. Here he comes. They would know my phone number by heart because I would be all up in that investigation, wanting to know exactly what happened to my daughter. So I don't blame Steve Goncalves if it's true. Like I said, if this article is true, I don't blame him getting involved or wanting to get involved, getting active. Because some people go and deal with grief in different ways. Some people get very active. They get proactive because that gets their mind off of things. It doesn't keep them dwelling on the pain. It helps them work through the pain. And also they feel like they're doing something proactive on unearthing the truth. Some people like to just go into their caves and lick their wounds and heal in that way, which is what a lot of the other victims' families are doing right now, which is totally understandable and totally fine. No judgment on that. But everyone deals with grief and trauma in a completely different way. And I feel that I would be doing exactly what Stephen Goncalves what is alleged of doing. I'd be all up in the investigation, obnoxiously so. Now, one thing I do say is that maybe this gag order is bad news bears for this situation. Okay? Maybe the gag order in this situation is not good because there's not a whole lot that can be out here for transparency. So there is a lot of just rumor has it, a little bird just told me type of BS. And that part is very frustrating. I feel like that's the frustrating part. Now, Stephen Goncalves seems like the kind of guy who, boots on the ground, take matters into his own hands, John Wayne type of alpha type ish. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that. Especially when you feel like 5-0 or investigation is not giving you full transparency or full awareness of what's really going on. And of course, it's still a mystery on everything. And there's so much rumor flooding the internet, flooding these news articles, even in news shows as well, covering this stuff. And a lot of it is like, what is true? You're hearing it from a source, but who the damn source, though? Who the damn source, right? So we're going to get into this piece again. I wanted to preface this, and I'm not going through the whole freaking thing. I'm not. Okay. So I'm going to be skipping, going from chunk to chunk to chunk. So just ride with me on this. Okay, guys. But to me, I look at this and I go, okay, how much of this is actually true? Because if he hasn't had conversations, allegedly, from what the lawyer said in a statement on behalf of the Goncalves family, this Howard Bloom has not had a conversation, or Blum. Correct me if I'm wrong. What is it, Bloom or Blum? Somebody talk to me in the chat, please. But for what we're gathering, according to that lawyer and in the statement, this man has not had a conversation with not one individual of the Goncalves family. So how could he have all this information if he hasn't had a conversation with anybody? That's the piece that I'd like to know. And I will say this too. Ain't no way. If this is any way true, ain't no way anybody in the Goncalves family would ever speak up to give him this kind of information, because this could be detrimental to the case. This could blow the whole thing up. This would help BK walk. So why would they even ever speak out and say, "Oh yeah, see what had happened was I had a leak. I had the plug within the grand jury, and we were talking and so on and so forth." No, we don't need to hear any of that ish. No one would sit there and say that to any. That to me could very well be rumor to me. But of course, getting ahead of myself, let's get into this. It says I of a K. I've been saying the K word a lot, so I'm going to have to use some code words now. Okay. But again, eyes of a K. And this is part 6. Okay. And it says after a few false leads. Okay. And I'm wondering, do you know who did these false leads also talk to you? How do you know about this ish? Shimon, man. Shimon. But anyway, a grieving father turned amateur sleuth discovers the prosecution's hidden ace. And there's some information here that I'm like, oh, that would be good. That's good information, which we will talk about in a little bit. Okay. So I'm going through all this stuff here because we don't need to go through all this extra stuff. So let's see. Okay. Yet he acknowledges his limitations. He openly appeals for help in his hunt to find the monsters, because he apparently believes that there could be more than just one from this. Let me just go back to the top, to the part here. Yet he has not forgotten his agenda, and he is soon back in the present. He wants to let the complacent authorities know what they can expect from him. He wants them to understand that if they can't get the job done, then he will. Now, that does sound a lot like Stephen Goncalves. Let's be real, okay? Like I said, bootstraps, boots on the ground, John Wayne style, Dirty Harry type ish. You feel me? Now, staring into the camera, he proclaims in earnest passion, "We're not going to bed and wait for other people to solve a family problem. This is a family problem." And he continues to drive home the point that he's on the case. We are not going to sit here and let someone else do a job that we can add value to. He's determined, as he puts it, to quote unquote make an impact, to quote unquote listen to what people are saying, to be a part of solving it. He needs to feel. He volunteers with an affecting candor, and that quote unquote, I gave it my all. I did everything that I could. Yet he also acknowledges his limitations. He openly appeals for help in his hunt to find the monsters. We got to use these code words from this point on. This takes a whole community. It takes all of us to solve. This is on us, Steve said, staring into the camera, that it has now become his ally, focusing directly on his audience. Are we going to let these people exist? And then, are we going to let these people exist? And then it's as if the entire hour-long interview has built to his uttering a single terse yet unflinching pronouncement. And with his face as somber as a graveside mourner's, he states, "I'm telling you right now, we're coming for you." It's as much a warning to the monster as it is as an electable vow to himself. However, 2 days after the interview was posted online, 28-year-old graduate student, criminal justice. We already know about all this. Let me get through this. So I'm telling you right now, we're coming for you. Okay. For one thing, he remains determined to make sure the authorities have arrested the right man. And while he has grown increasingly convinced that BK was involved in the crime, Steve remains open to the possibility that others might also have been involved, according to text provided to Airmail, the website where he posts all this stuff, okay, of these articles. It seems to him quite possible that there were more perpetrators in the house on King Road on the night his daughter and her friends were unalived. And if there were, they must still be at large. Now, one thing I will say, okay, about this particular piece here, this piece right here. Now, and maybe my memory is not serving me correctly, and maybe you guys can tell me, all right? But I have not heard, I don't, I have not, I don't remember. Let me just say that. Because there's been so many damn videos, so many damn articles, so many damn things covering this situation. I'm wondering, I never heard the Gonsalves family ever utter about a possibility of other people involved. Now, that's just from my memory. If other people, if y'all know, if they've said this in interviews, oh yeah, there could possibly been more people, but he's our guy. I just don't remember them saying, yeah, we think there could be more. I don't remember that ever being said. So that piece I find to be interesting. Tony said, I don't, yeah, I don't recall that. Delana, me either. Okay. Yes, B12, exactly. They think just him, period. So where's this coming from? Where's this statement coming from? You know what I'm saying? Misty Blue just said, I think we know maybe 5% of the actual facts. The trial will prove one way or the other. I agree. So see, but this is the problem. Because then you get these articles, like it's a lot more tangible, right? It's a lot more digestible when you hear the interviews from the Gonsalves family. Because honestly, aside from the interview that Ethan Chapin's mother did with Brian Enton during the CrimeCon thing, other than that, Gonsalves family has been all up in the videos, all up in the interviews and all that. And I'm not saying anything bad about that. That is not a dig. That is not some, diss at them at all. Because I understand getting out there, doing those interviews, talking about this, getting in front of these things, it keeps their daughter's mission alive. Getting justice for her stays alive. But I will say this too, though. This has garnered so much international, national attention that I don't think if the Gonsalves family sat back and took a vacation, this story will still be alive. There are plenty of YouTubers out here that all they talk about is this story, in this case alone. There's plenty of media coverage that would still stay out here pumping in the airwaves and in these internet streets. Trust and believe, if they even took a month off, this story would still be out here because this is a huge, huge story, right? It's gotten all of our attention, respectfully. But at the same time, they feel this is their way of getting justice, and there's nothing wrong with that. By all means, speak up, talk. But I have yet to hear them ever say anything about a possibility of other people being involved. So this is new news for me. And we've only scraped the surface of this mother lover, y'all. And in my mind, I'm like, where did you get that, bruh? Mr. Bloom or Blum? Where did you get this? Because this is news to me. This is news to me. Moving on. So he's furious that BK's trial, which had been scheduled, we already know it's been postponed indefinitely, but there is a hearing coming up in the next couple weeks, which we already know. He fears, he complained, that the trial won't occur for many months or even years. And he's particularly incensed by the nonsense gag order that severely limits what the law enforcement authorities, the lawyers, and the families of the victims can publicly say about the case. It is not just that he deems this a violation of his fundamental constitutional rights. Rather, the paucity of specific intelligence has created a vacuum that's being filled by rumors, half-truths, and crackpot lies. Now, let me finish this. And once these malignant seeds are planted, they grow tall and wild on the internet. Isn't he doing that right now? Allegedly? Isn't that what they're saying that he's doing right now? I'm just asking. Okay? Isn't that what he's doing right now? Last I heard, that's what he's doing right now. Okay? According to this, and I will ask you guys, are you have you read this article yet? Do you believe it? Now that there's been a statement made on behalf of the Goncalves family, are you now questioning this? Or do you think this is actual factual? Please let me know in the family chat. Okay? And especially y'all in the Facebook book seats, okay? Comment, let me know. I'll pull those up as well. All right? This is a family affair. It's a family affair, okay? So Steve needs answers, not rumors. And so despite the arrest of a suspect, he has not abandoned his quest. And it's not simply vanity, the belief that one middle-aged guy with only a background in IT can get to the bottom of things. It's fear that propels him. The fear that if he waits passively for cops finally to share what little they have managed to uncover, it might be too late. The remaining unidentified perpetrators will have gone to the ground, and justice will not be secured, nor will he ever get the terrible satisfaction of knowing the whole story. I think that's a lot of us, right? We all want to know what really happened. He will never achieve the state of grace that comes. He wants to believe with understanding a motive. He will never know the answer to the question at the beating heart of the case, which is why. And I agree. I think a lot of us are wanting to know what happened, and what happened and why it happened, right? All of us are losing our minds over this. There's been countless videos, articles, etc., documentaries, for crying out loud, long ass documentaries revolving around just one simple word, which is why. Crazy, right? And I don't know if we ever will get that. If Coco out here, if BK out here, just sitting there going, oh, no, I didn't do it. I'm innocent. The entire time, he's found guilty and thrown into a cage with other wolves. You think he's ever going to speak out? He might never speak out. And one thing that Kaylee Goncalves' father and family will have forever burning in their brains is, what happened and why did this happen? Why my daughter? Why her bestie? So for the past year, he has plowed on. It has not been easy going or always fruitful. For one cruel example, early on, an enticing tip came his way. According to the text from a source he described as, quote unquote, a jailhouse snitch, it was a tale that offered to tie up all the loose ends of the case, and spurred on by that promise. Both Steve and the private detective he had hired fanned out with their inquiries into several states, energized by the intoxicating possibility that he was on the verge of accomplishing what the professionals had failed to do. But in the bitter end, it was nothing more than an elaborate con, a malicious scheme to squeeze some money out of a grieving family's misery. The experience was demoralizing. Interesting. Now, I got to be honest. I don't remember hearing anything about them being in a conversation, at least in the articles and in these interviews. Never heard anything about a text source, a jailhouse snitch, being bamboozled, pouring money into a unreliable source, leading them down a unnecessary dark rabbit hole that ended up coming out with nothing. I know that, as Sia just said, I totally, completely understand his pursuit, right? You know, it's kind of like the reluctant sleuth, the reluctant detective in a way. I'm sure he doesn't want to do any of this stuff. Of course he doesn't. Who does? On their own child, on their own child's case. But like I said, it seems like he's the kind of guy who takes matters into his own hands, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I can see some messed up mother lovers out here in these streets taking this as an opportunity to grab a bag. And may any of y'all who are out here that are trying to be tragedy pimps out here in these streets, may all y'all have karma, the worst kind of karma, swing back and bite you in the ass. I said it, and I don't give a damn. Because who does that to a family? If this part of this story is true, who does that to a family? Who does that? May karma come back and take all of your monies, all of it, because that's exactly what you deserve. Let's move on. But that's new to me. Did not know about that. Okay. So he persevered only to be conned again. A greeny light bulb cam video of the King Road neighborhood came his way that proves Kohberger wasn't the lone monster. It was only after he went to some expense and hired a professional videographer to examine the recording that he conceded it was a fake. Now, I want you to remember. You remember all the BS that we dealt with? Like it's crazy how like time has moved on, like how quickly. Because there's some of these pieces are really real. I mean, there's been YouTubers that were making fake stuff. Oh, here's a record. Remember that, guys? Y'all remember that? Nobody remember? You remember the fake videos and the fake audio of screams and things moving around and all that stuff? I mean, it's been a minute, y'all. It has been a minute, but remember that mother lover? Remember that mother lover? Is that person still making videos on YouTube? That's what I'd like to know. Actually, I don't really give a damn as long as he's not fabricating more ish. But there were things like that. Oh, here's audio, actual audio of the monster, of the moments, the last few moments of these four. Remember that BS? Shout out to Iked Mel. Shoo. Shout out. Okay. But yeah, remember that mother lover? Remember him? Remember? I ain't gonna utter his name never. But you remember him? Okay. Same mother lover was making all that fake stuff. And I'm sure that stuff got into the hands of all the victims' families. I'm sure. And they had to do all this dismantling, blah, blah, blah. Why, guys? Why? Why does that even exist? Some of y'all need to just stop, please. Okay? Because it's sad and it's messed up, it's demented, and it does not help bring justice for these kids and for these families. It just makes things worse. And some of y'all out here trying to just scoop a bag, man. Damn. Scoop a bag. There are plenty of places where they need a barista. Okay? Just go pick up a job. Damn. there's some drop shipping stuff. You can always sell some stuff on eBay or Amazon or something like. You feel me? Damn, just do something else with your time. All that energy. For what reason? Moving on. Then there was his decision to leak a time-stamped video of another vehicle tearing away from a street adjacent to the house just before dawn on the morning of the M's to one of the true crime internet sites. His logic was that it was very possibly game-changing evidence. It needed official scrutiny, but this video too was also deemed a fake. And in the end, his role in its dissemination became a bit of an embarrassment. Now, remember that video? Like we're kind of taking the trip down memory lane with these videos, the BS videos that came out. But remember that video? It was like the snowy, snow-filled parking lot, and it was, you could just see kind of like headlights driving through in one particular area. Everybody and their mama was dissecting that mother loving, doing all their best to use every AI plugin they had on their computer to dismantle that ish. But to me, I thought it was kind of a waste of time. No disrespect, but I didn't think it was really anything that jaw-dropping. It was just a parking lot filled with snow and parked cars and headlights driving through, But moving on. All right. So let's move on. So one of the things, so one of the internet theories suggesting that a drug ring, had been involved in these tragedies were ludicrous. No pro is going to rough up someone not knowing who's all in the house. He texted a friend. There were, he pointed out, usually only 3 girls in the King Road house. His daughter, who had completed all of her coursework and would graduate in January, had just come down to Moscow for the weekend on a whim to show Maddie, her friend, her new Range Rover. Explain to me how a hitman missed Ethan and Kaylee's new car. A professional would have been daunted by the presence of 2 additional people in the house that night. And for the rumors of the drug deal gone bad being the underlying motive, Steve had been told by the authorities that the toxicology reports, or the toxicity reports of all 4 victims, established that they had no drugs in their system. Besides, if they wanted to score some pot, there was no need to get involved with a street dealer. Quote unquote, the kids, he pointed out, could go down a street and in 8 miles, there was a store where they could easily make a buy, despite the fact that marijuana remained illegal in Idaho. Christy, his wife, went with them once to check it out. He texted a friend. So, just talking about the drug deal going bad, he's like, well, if it was just for some weed, they could have just gone down the street and gotten themselves some stuff, even though it's illegal, right? But they could have gone down the street 8 miles and there was a store. Also, one thing I thought that was interesting, which, by the way, again, I'm sitting here going, where do you have the toxicology reports? Because the last I checked, there wasn't a toxicology report. Am I right? Because, like I said, so much information's been flying out the gate. So who has a toxicology report? Because last I checked, we didn't have any of that. All we know is that they were savagely attacked. We don't even know the details on how they were savagely attacked. We just know that they were savagely attacked. So much that there was blood leaking out the sides of the house. Remember that? But this dude is saying through these text messages, he has proof that the toxicology reports came back saying that they had nothing, not even THC, in their system. How does he have that? How does he have that? We don't even, the public doesn't even have that information. They have held back so much. The information that they have on this, like someone said earlier, there's like, we know, like I'm gonna be even more stingy. I think we know like 2% of the information. And we damn for sure don't have the toxicology reports. We would have been talked about that. And they're saying that they came back clean. I don't know about all that. You're telling me that they didn't, not even alcohol? Nothing. They came back clean. Like I said, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I don't. This part I think is fake. Well, there's a lot in here. Let me say it again. A lot in here is fake. Or let's just say inaccurate. I don't believe it. But you're telling me that they didn't have not a damn thing? Zero? These are college kids. They're out partying. They were kicking it. No drugs in this. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And I'm not trying to sit here going, oh, they out here up to no good. It's a Friday night. This girl came into town to kick it with her friend, show off her new ride. She's about to graduate. She's done with studies. She's clearly calling her ex-boyfriend Jack for a little rendezvous, maybe a little midnight rendezvous. You feel me? Okay. But there was no. I just don't believe that. I just don't. Some ain't right. Hold on. Let me read some of you guys' comments. Let's see. Ava said, I got THC in my system. Hard to believe all the college kids wouldn't. Exactly. Okay. Shoot. I got THC in my system. I'm kidding. I don't. But you know what I'm saying? Shoot. It wasn't in this. That's what I'm saying. It just doesn't make sense. Okay. We're going through it. We're going through it, y'all. But like I said, the toxicology report piece is so big. And I will say this too. Again, there may be information that this dude does have. Again, this is investigative reporting. But one thing I'm wondering is, will there be proof of his reporting? Because you could type anything in an article, okay? You could type anything in here and put their names in here and say Idaho 4 on the title of the article, and it could just be a work of fiction. It could be a fantasy novel, fan fiction, okay? But you're telling me, like, no, I don't know, man. I'm just saying, I want to see the proof. Show me the Carfax, okay? 2, there are some crazy ass people who are really crazy, who were trying to elbow their way into the case with deliberate misinformation. But not all of Steve's investigative efforts had been in vain. He had assembled a retinue, I've never heard that, retinue of blue chip sources that he revealed to several friends, including an FBI agent in the St. Louis office who had shared his personal email so that his bosses in the bureau wouldn't learn that he was communicating with Steve. This piece is kind of important. So he had FBI informants. Informer. Ziggity bum bum down. He had informers. FBI informers. So, using his personal email so that his boss in the Bureau wouldn't learn he was communicating with Steve, a handful of additional sympathetic law enforcement officers, and most helpful of all, a conduit to two of the grand jurors who had been on the panel that had voted to indict BK. And in the process, he had compiled some startling revelations, hard-won information that he triumphantly disclosed to his newfound internet associates. Now, this is very interesting information, but like I said, he had informers. He had informants, okay? Thank you, Caroline. I'm like, what? See, like I read a lot, but there's some words I just never seen. Retinue is a retinue. So she says is a stupid word that almost implies that Mr. Goncalves is famous. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Caroline. We just learned a new word, everybody. Today's secret word is, I feel like we're on Pee-wee's Playhouse, all right? A retinue. Okay, so he had assembled a retinue of blue chip sources, just so you know. Okay? Now I'm going to be using retinue every time. It's the secret word, so we go crazy every time I say it. I'm kidding, I won't. Moving on. So he had informers, guys. All right? He had a slew of dudes, slew of people that he was in close contact with. But one thing that's really interesting is that he had people that were part of the grand jury who are a part of the panel that voted to indict Brian Kohberger. Let's not forget that. We it's easy for us to look at oh my gosh, he had connections. He had people he could talk to, so on and so forth. Hold on. There's more. Informants that were in the grand jury. What? To let him know what was going down, what pieces of information and what was being brought up during those proceedings? That's quite an accusation or quite an allegation. Same, you know what I'm saying. Remember, we just read, hold on. Don't worry, we're going to come back to this. We're not leaving anytime soon. Remember this statement that was recently made, okay? Let's not forget that piece here. Hold on, guys. Haven't seen those bots in a while. But, sorry, had to clean a bot. Clean a bot, okay? So, interesting, right? Because I feel that one of the biggest pieces that a lot of us who have been following this case are losing our minds over is the piece about a conduit of two grand jurors who had been on the panel who had voted to indict BK. Let me just highlight that so that you guys can see that. That is a very, very big piece of information. So then we go back to this again. This statement was put out. What today is what? Today's the 10th, right? My watch is wrong. Today's the 10th, right? So very interesting that this was put up. This was posted yesterday. Okay? This was posted yesterday. Think about it. Because we're going to continue, but again, a lot of the information that's being put out here, I can see why they want to get on top of this and go, this is all lies. This is all lies. This is not true. We haven't spoken to him at all, so on and so forth. Because again, if they had any hand in any of this stuff, this could screw the pooch for the case. could give grounds for BK to walk, y'all. Any type of semblance of them having their hands on this case in any type of way that could interfere in the investigation or into the trial of BK could be detrimental and could have this man walk. That's insane, right? That's insane. And I'm hoping that these pieces of information are not true, but I can get why a reporter, or I'm sorry, not a reporter, why a lawyer would come out with this statement real quick saying, no, this is not true. This is all fake news. This is all lies. So now it's up to the general public to make a decision. Is this actual truth of what they say in this statement? Or are they trying to cover their tracks because of these statements and these allegations that are being made in this article? Could very well be true. To me, I don't believe it. I don't think this is true. But again, this is somebody getting their information somehow, right? So I'm wondering where he's getting it. Who is the source, right? But moving on, this kind of stuff is very important now. If this stuff is true, I mean, it's crazy. Okay. Kohberger had purchased a dark blue Dickies long sleeve work uniform at the Walmart in Pullman, Washington, not long before the M's, Steve had learned. The authorities had a copy of the $50 receipt, and they also now had a theory to explain how BK had managed to escape from the crime scene without a scratch and without leaving an incriminating drop of blood in his getaway car or his apartment. He had worn the work uniform during the M's and then had disrobed before he got behind the wheel of his Hyundai Elantra for, of course, his drive back to the apartment. Perhaps the authorities hypothesized he had stuffed the work suit into a plastic garbage bag and then shoved it into his trunk. All right. Only there was no sign of the Dickies outfit. The police had looked high and low, but they couldn't find it, just as they couldn't locate the actual weapon. They had a receipt for a K-bar knife he had purchased online months before the unalivings, but this, too, had seemingly vanished. And as long as these two crucial pieces of evidence remained unavailable, Steve feared the building case against Kohberger would remain more open than shut. Now, let's talk about this. He bought Dickies, okay? He bought basically a Michael Myers, what's it called? One Piece. I don't even know what to call it. You know, it's like an a coverall, if you will. Okay. But it's a Michael Myers type of thing, right? So he bought this at Walmart. He also had the K-bar knife that he bought months before. Now, one thing I do want to point, coveralls. Yeah. Okay. So I was right. Coveralls. Thank you, Brianna. Thank you. And thank you, WV. And then, of course, somebody said a jumper. Yes, he had to go and get himself some Dickies jumper. This really brings out the eyes. So he went and bought that right at a Walmart. Now, one thing I think that's really interesting is I don't remember seeing that in the receipts either. There were dark clothes, Under Armour shorts and stuff like that, right? Sneakers and stuff, right? But I don't remember hearing about like a coverall, Dickies coverall thing bought at Walmart. Does anybody else remember that? It did say Dickies. It most definitely did say Dickies, but I don't remember it saying coverall Dickies, or like somebody said, Y23 just said a onesie. Yeah, like a onesie. But I don't remember that it being said in the breakdown of everything. So to me, that's a little bit of that's interesting. Okay, that's interesting. We can argue or talk about that for 15 hours. Okay, but moving on from that, they're saying that he, of course, his getaway car was his white Hyundai. Okay, his white Elantra. So they're saying that he obviously must have taken off the coveralls or the Dickies long sleeve thing, stuffed it into a trash bag, and put it into maybe he put it in his back seat. You never know. He might have been in such a hurry. He took that thing off, shoved it into a trash bag, threw it in the back seat, or threw it in his trunk, and then drove around for a little bit before he actually went home. Okay. So that's what they say. But then you got to remember, they were looking high. They were searching high and low for the outfit, and they were looking for the murder weapon. Let's not forget that too. So they went, they looked for those things, didn't find it anywhere. So there's been theories that have been running amok, obviously. Okay. People have basically been saying, okay, so he must have taken those clothes, taken that knife, maybe thrown it, burned the clothes, burned the trash bag containing the actual containing the Dickies coverall, right? And then maybe tossed the K-bar into a lake or buried it somewhere where no one could find it. You got to remember, he drove around for a good while. See, so he must have gone somewhere. Of course, again, all alleged. And if he really is the man who did this, he had to have picked up the stuff, driven off somewhere, and discarded that stuff. That's why they're not finding it. Now, we already have talked about the knife sheath, because of course, the knife sheath was actually found. Let's not forget the knife sheath was actually found in Maddie's room and all that. And we've talked about that at great lengths. But again, hold on. Let me look something up. Dickies coverall. Yeah, this is some Michael Myers-ish. Hold on, guys. For sure, some Michael Myers-ish. Now I'm just grabbing just any single one of these. No, damn it. So I'm trying to pull up a photo of Zadikis. Now, as you guys can see here, let's take a look at this. Because a lot of people will sit there, and even myself, I'm going, okay, he left the oh no. Hold on, guys. I'm still here. I am still here. Hold on. But as you can see here, as my camera starts to cool off a little bit, as you can see, notice the waistline. Now, this is just any old coveralls. But last I checked, coveralls don't really have like belt loops, do they? Last I checked, they don't. Okay. Last I checked, they do not. So he went, got this allegedly, but it's a long sleeve one. Let's not forget, because this one's for if you're feeling a little summery, you want to show off those forearms, you buy this one. Okay. But he bought a long sleeve version of this, Michael Myers style. There are no belt loops from what I see here, nor would they. Would they? It's all attached in one spot. So it's not like you got to worry about keeping your shirt tucked in or something like that, right? Or your pants falling down. It's a onesie, for crying out loud. It's a glorified onesie, for crying out loud, right? So there would be no need for any belt loops. So the K-bar sheath would latch on to a belt, right? Wouldn't it? So he ran in there, allegedly, he ran in that mug with knife and knife sheath in hand. Then craziness went down in the throes of this terrible stuff that this tragedy he allegedly committed. He lost track of the sheath and accidentally left that behind. Jumped in his ride, or took off the coveralls, stuffed that into a bag, threw that into his trunk or in his back seat, jumped into his car, and drove off. Drove off for a while, took that bag out, went out into the woods, wherever the heck he was at, threw a little bit of lighter fluid on that mug, and set that Dickies on fire. Then either tossed the knife or dug a hole and buried the knife. Got back in his car, drove back home. Turned his phone back on as he was driving back home, if I have the timeline correctly in my head. So we all see that, right? We all see that there are no belt loops, and nor would they have belt loops. Why would he need one? I mean, what, to show off his girlish figure? Just doesn't make any sense, right? Doesn't. Okay. I mean, coveralls are not there as a fashion statement. They're there for what is it? It's for function, not fashion, right? I mean, that's just a theory. But he ran in there with the sheath in his hand. It wasn't looped into his belt buckle, then it would be on his belt, right? It would be with him as he's running out of the place if he wasn't wearing coveralls. But I will say again, in this piece where they say that there is Dickies being bought and it was a coverall kind of outfit, all we know is that there were Dickies bought. But I thought there were just Dickies, like Dickies pants. In fact, let's take a look. Hold on. Yes, let's bring this back, shall we? We're going back. We about to go back. Come on, man. Hold on, guys. Let's see. I mean, this is just another piece. Yeah. So it says here. It does say here. Let me blow this up. Let me blow this up so you guys can see this. But as you guys can see, okay, so one black glove, right? One Walmart receipt with one Dickies tag. Now that Dickies tag, what could that be? Two Marshall receipts, dust container, okay, from a vacuum. And then the rest, we already know about all this stuff. We've, of course, dismantled this like crazy. But it's interesting that he's talking about the number 2 on the list, which is the one Dickies tag, the Walmart receipt with the one Dickies tag. Again, I guess the ongoing burning question is, what could that be? What is that? What is that Dickies tag for? Is it for coveralls, Michael Myers style, or is it just a pair of pants? He could have bought a pair of pants and still used those pants for said thing. But I'm wondering how much information he really has, he's really getting here, okay, or where he got all this, okay? And yes, they in B12, you're right. Dickies pants do have belt loops and pockets. They most definitely do, okay? They most definitely do. But it could be a slew of different things. Dickies makes a lot of different things. Shirts, pants, so on and so forth. Okay? So he could have gone there just to buy some stuff for his everyday leisure. You never know, right? Again, I'm going, where does he have the proof of the dark blue Dickies long sleeve shirt or long sleeve work uniform that he bought at Walmart? I'm going to be challenging every question or every statement here, because I'm wondering if any of this is absolutely true. Okay. So moving on. Even more troubling, if true, was what Steve had learned from people who had spoken to members of the grand jury who had been presented with the prosecution's case. It centered on the alleged behavior of the 2 roommates who had miraculously survived the night unscathed. Okay, this is when we get into more murky water, okay? We're going to get into some murky water here, guys. Here we go. How, he wondered, could they have slept blissfully unaware through the savage pre-dawn tragedies of 4 people in a narrow house with paper thin walls? Don't worry, we're going to be coming back to the paper thin walls conversation in just a minute. And Jill S., you're absolutely right. They got gloves, they got outdoor gear, they got all kinds of stuff, guys. I mean, Dickies does a lot of stuff. It's not just coveralls. So that's why that's what I mean by him having that receipt. Could be anything. He could have bought a coat, for crying out loud, for $50 at Walmart. It is Walmart. And let me tell you something, though. Walmart does not sponsor this or anything, but, holla at your boy, Walmart. But Walmart got some fire stuff, y'all. I'm going to be real. Okay? I got some hoodies and stuff that I wear on this show from Walmart, because some of that stuff is just fire. Okay? And it's cheap. I'm just keeping it real. I'm going to keep it a buck with y'all. Okay? So that you'd be surprised what he could go in there and buy for a cheap priced coat, pants, etc. There's so many different things you can get from there, that are made by Dickies for $50. Okay? Shoot. I think they even make boots, if I'm correct. Okay? Don't they make boots? Could have sworn that they do. All right. They make all kinds of stuff, and Walmart provides a lot of that. So possibilities are endless. Now, back to this piece, and this is where we get into murky water again, because now we're talking about the surviving roommates. And we got to talk about this because it's part of the article, but at the same time, there's pieces in here that I'm just going to preface with. We're getting into murky water, and in no way, shape, or form are we here to try to blame the surviving roommates or anything of that sort. There are questions that we all have asked over and over again that we are not going to get answers to until if they actually see the inside of a courtroom. And that's kind of what we're going to have to deal with. But there's some information in here that's actually really shocking. That's actually really shocking. Again, back to paper thin walls. Okay. He's asking, and of course, a lot of us have asked, how could they be, quote unquote, allegedly blissfully unaware through the savage pre dawn tragedies of 4 people in a narrow house with paper thin walls? Later, a police affidavit revealed that one of the survivors, Dylan Mortensen, had in fact heard noises and had left her room only to spot a masked, darkly clad intruder making his way through the residence before she retreated to her room and did not summon help for another 8 hours for reasons that have never been revealed. And hopefully, if he reveals it in here, I'll be very shocked. Okay? I'll be like, bruh, come on. How do you know that? So, yet Steve had not been told that the 2 survivors allegedly had not only been awake while the unalivings had taken place, but they had heard everything. More astonishingly, his grand jury sources alleged that the 2 girls had been texting one another as this monster methodically went from one room to the next. What the hell? What in the hell? So now they're saying, so now this article is saying that these 2 didn't leave their rooms, but they heard everything that was going down and they were corresponding with each other via text. Yeah, Madeline, bruh. Come on. For real? So now you got what? Come on, man. Really, come on. So she walked out, saw this monster, okay? Michael dressed like Michael Myers, but instead of the mask, he had a Rona mask on, bushy eyebrows. She scours back into her room, frozen shock phase. Remember that infamous phrase, right? I'm assuming she locks the door, sits on her bed, and just has a text message conversation with her other roomie, Bethany, while everything was going down. That is quite an allegation. And how does he know? And you got to remember, this is not even coming from Steve's mouth himself. This is coming from sources. Again, this is all sources that are telling him this. How do you know this is true? How do you know if this is true? Okay. Delana said, now we did hear in the PCA, the probable cause affidavit, that due to the surviving roommates' phones help determine the time of this horrific crime. Yes. No, I do know that there was all that pieces of information. Of course, we already know about the DoorDash, the Jack in the Box that came through at a very late time. Somebody had some late night munchies, obviously, right? We remember all that. One of the surviving roommates received that Jack in the Box, sat down, was eating that food in her room, watching TikTok at 4:00 in the morning. We know all of that stuff, right? So we know all of that, right? But never have they ever come out with the information of these girls, the 2 surviving roommates, actually corresponding with each other, saying, yo, there's somebody in the house and he's doing this, this, and this, and he's taking the lives of these girls. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Did you hear that? None of that we've not heard any of that information. And also in that probable cause affidavit, that information never came. They never stated any of that stuff. None of that stuff came out. All they said is she walked out, saw the dude, full all black, bushy eyebrows, mask on his face. She basically ran, quickly went back into her room, was in frozen shock phase, and then all we hear about is what happens 8 hours later. And of course, we all want to know what happened during the time of right after the tragedy took place to the time that the cops showed up, because it is 8 hours, and that's a lot of time to eat up. But that's it. That's all they have in the probable cause affidavit. So now this reporter is saying, "Yeah, I got proof from sources that these two surviving roommates were texting each other while all this stuff was going down." That's insane to me. That's absolutely insane to me. But let's continue with this article, because I got to get back to the paper thin walls comment here. Okay, so the possibility that two people had a sense of the horror while it occurred and had not acted, calling neither friends nor 911, left Steve floored. Again, how do you know about any of this? Who is telling you this BS? That's what I'd like to know. And no less confounding, they had, if his sources were as acknowledgeable as he believed, then let hour after hour after hour tick away before they finally decided to summon friends. It added an entirely new brand of mystery to a crime that was already bound by unanswered questions. And so Steve intensified his efforts to get answers. And in the Dodge process, he came to believe that the government must have a protected source, an informant who could provide testimony that would tighten the screws that held together the case against Kohberger. Steve was determined to talk to them. He did not want to wait for the trial to get the acknowledgement or to get the knowledge he needed. For his peace of mind, he needed relief now. After some digging, he grew convinced that he had the informant in his sights. He was preparing to reach out to this individual to get right in his face and confront him. He would explain that he was empowered by a father's natural right to understand fully the last moments of his daughter's life. In fact, it was his duty. It was an argument he felt that no one could reject. And at last, he would know the whole story of what really happened to Kaylee and why. But before he could make his move, before he could get in a room to have a heart-to-heart talk with the witnesses or with the witness, he was unexpectedly stopped in his tracks by the FBI. So he was stopped because he was trying to get some information and try to find out who this informant was, that knew some ins and outs of everything that's gone down. That I find to be very interesting. But one thing I do want to come back to before we continue into this article is the paper thin walls conversation. Let's be completely real. Okay? Let's be completely real. This is precisely the reason why I would really hate to see the house go down. Okay? 1122 King Road house should stay up until the trial, until the end of the trial, until the verdict has been made. Because you got to understand that house is also evidence. That house is also proof of a tragedy that had taken place. You got people who are sitting here saying, and I've heard it multiple times. We've heard it from multiple sources and multiple people saying how paper thin the walls were, or paper thin the walls are. So one thing that would really be helpful. Oh, yeah, and Karen, you're right. Let's not forget. It's the doggone crime scene. So one thing that could help or destroy Brian Koberger, you got to remember, he's fighting for his life too. And he's still allegedly, it's still alleged. He has not been convicted of anything. He is just looked at as the prime man. He could be it, he may not be. But the one thing that could break or make his case is that house too. Are the walls really paper thin? Could you hear someone walking back and forth throughout that house with ease? Could you hear the unalivings going down in that house? Let's be real. Could you? Like I said, questions that I have in my mind that I would love to get answered. Because let's not forget, that house has a story to tell as well. If you take down that house, you ain't got that story. And again, it could make or break the case. Let the jury walk in. Do what they did for the Murdaugh case. Let the jury walk, get boots on the ground, see the space, see the area. Let it consume in their brains, right? Get a full idea of what could have really gone down in this house. Also, to debunk or confirm certain things that have been spreading like wildfire all over the internets. They're saying that they could hear this dude is alleging that they could hear everything. And they did nothing? Come on, y'all. Like I said, this is murky water, and I'm not trying to go after the surviving roommates at all. I am not. But at the same time, these allegations are pretty damning. That's insane. They just sat there and they didn't call. Like the gut reaction is calling 911, right? Ain't it though? Ain't it though? Last I checked, that's what you do. So if they heard everything through these paper thin walls, undeniable that there was a crime happening, tragedies happening. They could hear the cries and screams of their roommates. And instead of actually calling 911, they had a conversation with each other. I don't believe it. Who is his source? Who is his source? Because that is some damning. That is damning, y'all. Damning. Those are some damning allegations, real mother-loving talk. Okay? Yeah, S-dubs could have called, could even text 911. And that didn't happen. Like I said, that is some serious allegations that I feel have no merit, have no weight. I call BS on it, y'all. That's just me, though. That's just me. You let me know what y'all think. I know everybody. We've all have had our theories. Remember that they thought Dylan, remember that the rumor that was going around about Dylan? Remember that ish? It got that wild, y'all. It got that wild. And now we're here. Now, again, if that's true, I'll be shocked, but I don't believe it. I just don't. I really don't. There needs to be more to there's got to be more to this. There's got to be. But keeping the house up would definitely confirm and explain and give us a better layout of how everything went down. It would help the jury when they go in and take a look at things themselves. It would be extremely helpful for them, in my personal opinion. Okay, but let me continue on here. So, okay, so he was getting closer to the informant, okay, who was providing, this is somebody who could provide testimony that would tighten the screws that held together in the case against Koberger, okay? As he was getting closer to that, he got stopped in his tracks by the FBI. Interesting. So the Bureau had sent an official letter to Steve's attorney in Moscow, warning that if there were any attempt to contact the individual Steve had been pursuing, there would be legal consequences. The witness had originally reached out to the authorities through a tip line that promised to protect the identities of anyone volunteering information, and the Bureau was duty bound to honor that commitment. And the letter went on to make clear with intimidating force that the fact that Steve was the father of one of the victims gave him no suspension from the legal consequences that accompany tampering with a government witness. Man, they said, do not mess with us. We do not play. We do not play. Do not play with us. Do not mess with this situation. Just because you are a part of this, your daughter is a victim in this crime does not mean that you are untouchable. You can catch some serious charges from us. You can catch some serious issues. Do not play with us. That's crazy. Okay. Now, stymied, Steve skulked away. The promise of real understanding was out there, yet still tantalizingly beyond his grasp. And with this setback, he fell into a period of stasis. Racked by frustration and despair, all he could do was send a disheartened text to one of his fellow internet detectives. There is so much more to this story than is in the media. It's frustrating and it is really, really sad that we have a father who's trying to do everything he can to get down to the truth of everything. And as he starts to go down that route, there are more walls that keep kind of getting built right in front of him. And again, we're just reading this article. We don't know how much of this article is true, how much of it is not, but we do know, though, that in the interviews that we have seen him have online, etc., there's only so much he can say, which is really, really frustrating. You can see it in his face. You can see how just angry he is, and how frustrated he is about everything. So that part is true. That's I feel like so far the only real thing that we've seen in this article that's actually true. That how frustrating this is, how disheartening it's been on his journey of trying to find out the truth. And I guess my question is, aside from it being the gag order and all that, what is it that's stopping? What is it that's stopping them from letting him know the full truth? For a fact, he's not going to sit here and say it out loud to anybody at all. He just wants to know the truth. But again, there's things that there's all these setbacks that keep happening. And that's frustrating. And it's crazy that if he really sent this text message to one of his fellow internet detectives, he said there's so much more to this story than is in the media. I mean, that says a lot. But I think we all know that piece. We all know that. There's a lot. Like, some people say, oh, we only know 5%. We only know 5% of this whole story. And I said it before, and I'll say it again. I feel like there's only 2% of what we know. We know what happened. Like, we know of what happened. We know, okay, how about this? We know that there are 4 kids that lost their lives. We have a monster an alleged monster that's locked up, that's fighting for his life. He is looking at death. He's looking at that. Okay? He is looking at his own demise. So he is fighting for his life. We know that we have 2 surviving roommates. We know a little bit of the breadcrumbs from webcam videos and security cameras and stuff like that, walking back and forth from bars and going to a little food truck kind of thing. We know that there are other key players or other people that surround the outside of this case. But that's really it, y'all. Think about it. Yes, we've talked about it at great lengths, but a lot of it's been conspiracy. It's all been theory. It's all been questions. But so far, we have not gotten absolute confirmation of certain things. Oh, let's not forget the part of the guy, of BK. We know a little bit of information on him. We know what he was studying in school. We know that it sounds like he was an incel. We know that he was tougher on girl students than he was with male students. We know about all those things. We knew that he was super Captain Awkward. Okay? We know all that stuff. But that literally is about 2% of the actual case. We've heard 3 maybe, or 4 different stories of Dylan's encounter with this monster. There was rumors stories of a naked man running out the house that she saw. Remember that? There was so many different stories, but what I mean is we only know 2% of facts in this mug. And then the rest, the Goncalves family knows, or just 5-0 knows, and that's it. And what the state is trying to stack for this trial. And it's frustrating. And I totally understand why a father would do everything in his power to bust his ass trying to find the truth on what happened to their daughter or their child. What father, what parent wouldn't? Let's keep it real. Some are just a lot more aggressive than others. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Okay? Let me read this last piece here. Okay? And so, thwarted in his sleuthing, still staring with bitterness at hard mysteries he cannot crack, Steve has expanded his focus. If he cannot conduct the investigation provoked by his memories of his daughter, he will at least ensure that at some distant appointed time, there will be a measure of justice. Okay. This is this is a very, very big, very, very big article. Okay. As you guys can see, this is an incredibly big article. There is a lot that's being said here. And a lot of it, I'm still wondering how much of it is actually true. And that's the frustrating part of it all. Okay. This article here. And you got to remember, this is part 6 of a series. So he has many, many other ones. And I'm still wondering how much of the stuff that he has in this article and the articles before, how much of that is true. He's working on a book. He obviously, people have been clicking on this, people have been tuning into this, people have been reading his articles and all that stuff. But there's a lot of information in here that could be extremely detrimental to the actual case itself if those allegations are actually true. If they're true, it's not good. But the fact that he has them in these articles, and if they are fake, they're fake. If this is all not true, still not good either, because it's putting out information to all the web sleuths and all the internet journalists out here as well that are covering this and talking about it. It brings out confusion and takes people down the wrong road. That's literally what it does. And not once have we seen anything in here. We just went. I mean, I didn't read the whole thing about his about Kaylee's relationship with Jack and all that stuff. I mean, that's all that stuff in the very, very beginning. Okay, all of this. Okay, but at the same time, all that's being said in this article, where is proof of his sources? Where's proof of that? He just says, "Oh yeah, in a text message, in a such and such." Where's the proof, baby? Where's the proof? Now, I will say this too, though. It is very, very easy for him to sit here and go, "Oh yeah, I got sources." Sorry, I got sources. You're just gonna have to find out when I finish the book. And are we for that? Is that what we want? I'm gonna say, hell no. Give us the sources. But he's saying, oh, the sources through Steve, this, and this. Show me the Carfax. Because right now, this is just reading like fan fiction. Nicely written fan fiction. Anyone can fabricate this. And I don't mean that as a diss. I don't. But now, when you have family coming out and sitting here and saying, oh, no. All of that is fake. And he's saying things that aren't true, especially those parts of, oh, he had an insider on the 2 insiders with the grand jury. He had a FBI informant. He then on top of that, let's not forget the other things of Dylan and Bethany being able to have conversations while this whole thing is going down. Like, that is some serious, those are some serious allegations. That is some serious allegations. Okay? Serious allegations. To put that stuff out here with no proof in here. Again, none. We went through that, and none of it says anything of the sort. I'm sorry, it's tough to consume this when you're putting out that kind of information and saying, oh yeah, they were texting each other. Okay, show me the proof. Oh, he was texting an internet detective. Who's the internet detective? Is that a known YouTuber? Is that a known, just like somebody who has a strong presence in the true crime community? Is that another investigative reporter? Who is he corresponding with? Show us the Carfax. Show us actual proof of said thing. Because right now, this is to me is just spreading more rumor. And that's the last thing that we need right now. The last thing we need is rumor. We need facts, y'all. So this is the reason why I said, it took me days to come around and cover this. And trust me, when it dropped, man, I wanted to hop on this and tell you guys this story so bad, but I had other responsibilities to handle. But then every time I wanted to come and talk about this, something else would happen. Really. Then yesterday I said, you know what? I'm talking about it today. I'm doing an early morning show. We're going to talk about it. We're going to chop it up, so on and so on and so forth. And then my internet goes out. So like literally fate, God, the particles that come together that make matter, whatever you believe in, told me don't cover it just yet. So I was like, all right, fine, bet. I'm not. And what's funny is that's when that information came out, that piece of them saying, no, he's lying. He's profiting off of our daughter's demise, our daughter's tragedy, and he's trying to make the monies. He's trying to get clicks and sell his book, for crying out loud. That's all he gives a damn about. That's what it feels like to me now, too. Those are some serious, serious allegations to put into one full article on a family that's doing everything they can, one, to keep their own sanity, maybe find some ways to sleep at night without this rooming over in their heads. All they want to know is the truth on what happened to their daughter. That's it. That's what every parent would want if this, God forbid, if they ever were to come face to face with this type of tragedy. Let's keep it real. But when you do something like this, you got to come correct with those receipts, baby. Listen, we talked about the Russell Brand situation with those allegations and whatnot. Now, whether those receipts are fabricated or not, I'm just saying out loud, receipts were presented, whether we like it or not, whatever side you stand on with it. Not talking about what side you on, but regardless of that, receipts were presented. Shoot, there's a whole documentary on his ass right now. We're looking at an article right here. Okay, right here. Sans receipts. Sans receipts. Without receipts, just so you guys know. Little Shakespeare for you guys. Shakespeare. Without receipts, young squire. 0. And we're supposed to just take it as face value? I'm just asking the questions, y'all. Just asking the questions. But he got a book coming. So I'm wondering if he's going to actually get some interviews, if people are going to actually ask him some stuff. Important things like, where did you get this information? Do you have receipts, baby? Do you have the actual text messages that happened between Steve Goncalves and his resources? Or his sources, I'm sorry. Do you have that? Show me the Carfax. Show all of us, in fact, the Carfax. Because right now, this just looks like fan fiction. Especially when you have, again, lawyers coming out and saying this is all fake. He be lying out here in these streets, yo. That's a problem. That's a very, 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 very big problem. And yes, somebody said it a second ago. I saw it in the corner of my eye. But yeah, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if he's looking at a lawsuit coming. I don't know what it would be, cease and desist. I don't know. I don't know on what grounds, but shoot, people get, man, McDonald's got sued over hot coffee. Okay? Real talk. That's old. That's an old story. But you know what I'm saying? People can sue anybody over anything nowadays. So I wouldn't be surprised if this journalist is looking at some lawsuits coming his way. But just so you guys who are late to the party, I will repeat what they said in their statement, just in their statement. Okay. One, they were saying that, from the lawyer, this is from the lawyer, Steve Goncalves denounced much of what Bloom states in his publications. And they said in his publications. So it's not even just part 6. He's talking about all of them. The whole series, he's saying is fake. Okay? Saying that Bloom is profiting off his dead daughter and his family's grief. So, quote unquote, I just want to make it very clear to the public that we have not spoken to Mr. Bloom about the demise of our daughter. This is nothing more than a grandstanding and a very, very poor attempt at getting attention. This piece is obviously fictional, but written in poor taste. The Goncalves family would ask that everyone please respect the victims of this tragedy and continue to support trustworthy journalism. This is what he said, or the Goncalves family said in a statement. So they're saying all of his publications covering this story, covering this case, is all fake mother-loving news. All right? Fake news. And saying that it was written in poor taste, obviously fictional. All of this is an attempt to get attention. Put all that in your pipe. Pack it up. Fire that bad boy up and smoke on that. Crazy, guys. But I leave that question up to you guys. Which side do you believe? Do you believe an investigative, let's just put that in air quotes for now, an investigative reporter that wrote this whole series so far? Because he's not done yet. This is just part 6. I'm sure there's going to be a 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. Okay? Teen times. Okay? I'm sure he's going to have much more. This is not going to stop him unless he gets sued in some sort of way. This is not going to stop him. He's going to keep writing. But do you believe the reporter who's writing all this information? Or do you believe the family who is doing everything they can to uncover the truth of what happened to their daughter and to her daughter's friends? Mind you, if I was in their shoes, I'd be cutting as many corners as I could to find out what actually happened to my child. I'd be cutting every corner I could, legally, mind you, to get the bad boy locked up and locked up for good. Just want to sprinkle a little bit of that into that question. What would you do if you were in their shoes? I'll just leave that question to you guys. And I think that's where I'm going to end the show. Anyway, guys, I appreciate all y'all for being here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Didn't think I was going to do as much of the article as I did, but we did it anyway. We did it as a family, and it was the most important stuff. Okay? There's some serious allegations being made. Whoa. Actually, I forgot. I need to do this really quick. Sorry. Don't leave yet. Show's not over yet. I apologize. Couple things I wanted to ask you guys. Just a little bit of a hangout. Okay. just a little bit of a hangout really, really quick. So one, thoughts and prayers go out to all the people who are dealing with the craziness that's going on in Israel right now. It is absolutely devastating and mind-blowing, the information that's been funneling out as of recently. It is extremely terrifying to see what's been going on over there. So I said I had two questions for you guys, so I'm going to ask those now. Of course, the situation in Israel is getting pretty insane. The reason why I haven't really covered much of it or any at all is because of how gruesome it is, as far as imagery and all that. So it is something I'm thinking about talking about and bringing up in a conversation, but I know how polarizing it is. And I just want to tell you guys the news without frustrating or angering people. And that's one thing that's really tough, especially with with what's going on overseas. So I just wanted to say that first and foremost. That is something I'm wondering if that's something that you guys are interested in me covering or not. So I am putting that out there to see if that's something that you might be down for. Would you guys want me to cover that or no? Definitely something. Let me know in the comments after the show. The other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, because this is a conversation that was happening that has just sprouted on its own, not by my doing, but has been sprouting on its own on Discord. And it's a lighter conversation. This is a much lighter conversation, but I did want to bring it up to you guys before I actually make a move on what I'm thinking of doing. Now, I know a lot of y'all have seen some of the information or some of the content I've made in the past. I've made a lot of skits and parodies and stuff like that, a lot of comedy. One thing I do miss, and I told myself, I promised myself once I got past the 100,000 subscriber mark that I would bring more of myself, more of what I enjoy doing into the show more, right? Which is the parodies and the comedy, the music, right? Now, of course, done in a way that would make sense, of course. So one thing I wanted to do, because I'm working on something right now for Halloween. Don't worry, you'll see soon, and it makes sense. You'll see it soon. But I am working on a project for Halloween specifically for this month. But there is something that I wanted to do for the holidays, not Halloween per se, but more like the holidays, Christmas, Hanukkah, the holidays. Okay. When we all get together and we drink, what is it? What is that stuff? Eggnog and stuff like that. Decorate the trees and stuff like that. All right. So I'm thinking of doing an actual Christmas special, like a full on 20 to 30 minute show where we're not talking about gloom and doom. We're not talking about any true crime stories. It's nothing but fun, cheesy holiday cheer. Now, I know some of y'all like, bleh, don't want that. And let me take back the cheesiness. But whenever you do anything with holidays, there is a little bit of cheese in there. Let's keep it real. But it would be a fun adult show. Okay. So, and of course, bring in some of my really, really talented musician friends to maybe do some performances on the actual show. Okay. But pre-recorded skits, etc. If I break into song, maybe I break into song, so on and so forth. Okay. So the idea that I wanted to say, and I'm sitting here saying this with your permission. Okay. Because I am really nervous about doing this. And when I get nervous about something, a lot of times it means to just effing do it. Right. go at it boldly. So the thought I had that is making me nervous because I don't want it to come off some type of way is that I was thinking of starting a GoFundMe. I could really use the help financially putting that special together. So, I'm not one to come to you and go, please give me monies. But there is a piece that I've been dreaming of doing this for years. And I've always wanted to do this. And through Discord, if you're not on our Discord, please join our Discord. Y'all have some really great conversations over there. But there was a conversation that was brought up over the past couple of days about how you guys want to see skits. You guys want to see the other side of stuff, my music side, the comedy, stuff like that. Because I have been posting on X or Twitter or on Facebook some of my old Halloween skits just for fun. And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, if I did a GoFundMe and it wasn't something like crazy, I'm not sitting here going like, I need to raise $50,000. Hell no. Something very small, very conservative, very easy. The number goal, right? The money goal would be very, very easy to get to, so that I can actually put together a really nice Christmas special, because that stuff costs money. It takes time, and it's everything from the props all the way down to the crew that would help shoot this whole thing and help me cut this whole thing together. All that stuff costs, and that over time gets when it all gets stacked up, it gets expensive. So I was thinking of doing a GoFundMe and seeing if you guys could help me raise the money so that I can make something I've been dreaming about for a long time happen. So if would that be okay, or would that be coming off as something else? Would that be okay? Hit the number 1 if that would be okay. Because I don't know. I would love to do that for this Christmas holiday time, because I got plenty of shoot. Hold up. They literally sit here. It's funny. Hold on. I got skits upon skits upon skits of things that have been written over a very, very long time that I just have not had an opportunity to actually do. So the dream would be to accomplish that. And I have some really, really talented friends, really, really talented videographers and co-creators that I just know that I'm like, okay, if I can just raise like $5,000, you see what I'm saying? Then I can put something together that would be dope. You know what I'm saying? So, so that's just what I'm thinking of, because I don't want to throw people off. I know you guys like me telling you guys the stories, the true crime stuff and things that are going on in the world, the news and all that. But I'm like, it'd be nice to just kind of change gears for a second, okay, and give you guys something to really enjoy. And I've even thought about maybe doing it as a live show, like the skit's already done, but I would do this live holiday show with you guys, but it would be live, right? With these skits and all the things, you would see your money basically on the screen, right? The money that was raised, you would see it all in the screen. So that's just kind of the thought I've had in my mind. And I think that's what I'm going to, if you guys are down for it, If you guys are down for it, I'll do it. I will do it. So, because like I said, I get nervous about that because, I ain't trying to be somebody like, oh, go through this paywall and you could see, photos of a kid, dead. You know what I'm saying? Like so when I go, hey, could really use some help to make this happen, I get nervous about saying stuff like that because I don't want that to be misconstrued as me just trying to make a quick buck. Hell no. I just want to make this happen, and maybe it's something I do every year. It's an annual thing, right? And so I'm going to do it. I'll do it. I appreciate you guys listening and hearing me on that, but I just had to bring that up because, we talk about a lot of stuff on this show. So I just don't want to throw people off of like, this is not what I came here for. This isn't where I parked my car. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to do anything, too off brand, too off kilter. Okay. So I appreciate you guys saying that and giving me the encouragement. So I promise you, Yogi Pretzel said, follow your heart, Pascal. What are you, Tinkerbell right now or something? But I appreciate it. Should it be GoFundMe or Kickstarter? Yeah, that's the one thing I'm still trying to figure out. But like I said, I could use the help. So I'm thinking of starting a crowd-funded piece over the course of this month, aiming for a specific number. And then over the course of November, I'd basically be, through that month, putting this whole thing together so that at the top of December, within the first or second week, we'd have the show, right? So I'm looking into it. I'm looking into it for real. Oh, and the other thing, one, first off, let me do that really quick. Thank you, Lime Lit Girl. Thank you so much for becoming a member. One thing I will say is that all members, once it's all going, once everything gets popping off and everything, members and patrons would be getting a first glimpse of like behind the scenes stuff as I'm going through it, right? The like vlogs, if you will, behind the scenes vlogs of the whole process, putting everything together, so on and so forth. But that doesn't mean that you guys, other people who are not patrons or who are not members, won't have access to them. They'll just have them like a day or two beforehand before they get, shared as public. Just so you guys know, like I said, I want to bring a little bit more to you, you guys, so that you guys are getting more, more, because you guys deserve it. And I appreciate the support. Kimberly in Japan, thank you so much for the 200 yen. Pascal singing Christmas songs is my wish. Yeah. I promise you, if I can get to that number, like I said, I will be singing and there will be a whole lot of skits and comedy and good times. And like I said, I'm working on trying to see about doing this as a live piece. So you're not only getting those skits and those pieces, but I'll be able to react to you guys. We could do this all together, talk live, and do this show in a beautiful and cool way. So, and Debbie said I need a CD. Debbie, when we talked, I'm working on that. That's coming. And I feel like that'll all be tied into everything. So don't worry. Oh, it's coming. But so then I will be working on this GoFundMe or this Kickstarter thing to get this thing started. And so that I can make this happen. And if it's dope and if it goes well, because I also have other ideas that I want to bring into it too, some giving, etc. But I'm working on that too. I need the green light so I can get moving. Does that make sense? So so don't worry, there'll be more coming. And yeah, Detra. Yeah, so I've thought about putting up the skits on the on this page. Like I said, I just don't want to throw people off because people are like, what is that? Old skits, I mean. But they are on, I have been posting some of them on X and on Facebook as well. Okay. But yeah, we're going to make some things happen this year or, this holiday season, depending on if everything goes according to plan. So like I said, I won't be asking for anything crazy as far as numbers. I'm not sitting here going, let me get 100,000. But something tangible so that I can make something happen. All right. What's the Discord link? Debbie, put in the Discord link. Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm trying to figure out what the original Alexa just said. GoFundMe takes 2.5%. Yeah, it's one thing I'm still trying to figure out. Like I said, I've never done a crowdfunding thing ever in my life, so it's something I'm still thinking about. Which platform would I go and use? You see what I'm saying? So, which crowdfunding website would I use? But when I know what it is, Limelit girl, Discord is now in the chat. Okay. But once I find out more information, I'll be quick to give you guys a video on that, so you guys know what to you guys know what you're walking into. Okay. So again, I appreciate you guys hearing me out. I just kind of wanted permission, and so that you guys know what I'm planning on doing. I hate when it's like hey, here's I need this, and it's like, you clearly can afford it yourself. Why would you need this? This is something special, and this is something big that would require a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of work. So I just want to make sure that you guys know what I'm working on. So it's not some big surprise. You're not thinking that this is like I'm hiding something from y'all. But I am working on something. And like I said, for this Halloween, there's a couple things I'm working on right now. They're not comedy or anything. They're very much in the realm of what we've been doing. But they are different stories, which I will be coming out here soon. Y'all know, if you're members, y'all know, because I've been asking you guys in the members chat as well, okay, or in the community page for members. So cool. So then don't be surprised that soon there's a little thing that I'm promoting to try to raise some money to make a Christmas miracle happen, right? That was cheesy. Okay. All right, guys. Anyway, that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really does mean a lot. Oh, also, for those of y'all who like the podcast version of the shows, be on the lookout. There will be a podcast version of this show coming out very, very soon. Maybe there's some pieces that you want to relive or rewatch, so on and so forth. Please go check that out. That'd be greatly appreciated. Got some more podcast type stuff, podcast only content coming out very, very soon for you guys as well. So be on the lookout for that, because it's coming. Okay. But appreciate all y'all. Okay. Kickstarter's better. I'll look into it. I promise, Caroline. But thank you guys so much for being here. It really does mean a lot. Don't forget to hit that like button down below. That would really mean the world to me. Okay, hit that like button down below. Also, don't forget, of course, if you're watching on Facebook, hit that reaction button down below as well. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're watching on Facebook, make sure you hit that follow button over there as well, y'all. That would really mean the world to me. Also, be ready. Make sure those notification bells are on both platforms, because I got more stories to tell to you guys. There's more news to cover. We will be talking about those very, very soon. So be on the lookout for those. Okay? Anyway, guys, have a great one. I'll be talking to you guys very, very soon. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. And I'll see you guys very soon. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.